Welcome, welcome. Good morning. We are happy to have you. Welcome to another empowering episode of SHEE Boss Chronicles Podcast by the U.S. Coalition of Black Women Businesses, where SHE is an acronym standing for Social, Health, Economic Equity. And we are excited to delve into the world of entrepreneurship, business, and learning for Black women businesses and Black women business owners. I'm your host today, Courtney D. Holland, founder of Kingdom Work, Kingdom Lifestyle, where together we're here to unlock the keys to your kingdom through real estate and digital marketing. Today, we have a remarkable guest joining us, and I am excited to absolutely be able to introduce my favorite person, Kijaffa Hall. Hello, how are you?
You know how to make a girl blush. Good
I'm
to
not
see
lying.
you.
No, Kijaffa Hall is the owner and CEO of KZ Hall Virtual Services. Now, Kijaffa, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself because I am excited to delve into this conversation. Just before we do, though, I do want to be able to allow people to know, and all of our listeners, that with the incredible work that the U.S. Coalition of Black Women Business Owners are doing, we actually have two upcoming events. We have one event in November 1st, 2023. That is the last event in New York. It is our Business Matchmaker Luncheon, and it's happening in Long Island, New York. We're excited to have everyone there to network with their like-minded individuals. And then on April 2024, we are actually going to West Africa. We're going to Ghana for a wellness summit. Yes, and we want to be able to invite all of our listeners and all of our business owners and members. So yes, Kijaffa, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, so I am Kijaffa Hall. I am the CEO and owner of KZ Hall Virtual Services, which provides business strategy development and back-end operations to small businesses, small business owners, solo entrepreneurs, and overall visionary leaders.
Yes.
And through that, my goal is to help them to achieve their goals by removing those internal obstacles and for them to have a clear vision of what they are trying to achieve. So we really work through what are their goals, what resources are available to them, and what tools do they need in order to get from point A to point B.
I know that's
I
right.
also, in support of small businesses and entrepreneurs, host my own podcast, Coffee on a Notepad, which is all about talking about business, entrepreneurship, and creating success on your own terms. And it really
Yes.
is just a way to create community for us small business owners, solo entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
and give a space for us to talk about the woes and
Mhm.
the amazingness that comes out of creating a life you love. So
I love that. I love that. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Insert sound effect.
Goes wild.
No, it's huge. It's huge. Your work is so impactful. I'm excited to get into this. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you have an absolutely impressive background professionally as well as within the marketplace. So, explain to me, and if you could just share some key insights or strategies that have consistently contributed to the success of your business.
Yeah. So my background came out of higher education, but I had some really great mentors and I would say opportunities that came out of tumultuous times
Mhm.
to really delve into operations, change management, talent development. And so I've been able to transfer that over to how I work directly with small businesses. So the first thing for me is always systems and
Mhm.
processes is really
Mhm.
big. Um, being a solo entrepreneur myself, it gets overwhelming sometimes, all the things you have to do.
Oh, yeah.
And because 99% of my work is virtual, I don't have like people in the office with me to kind of remind me or check
Mhm.
in.
Mhm.
So it's important to have systems in place to kind of give me the space to do work, which is what I stress often with other clients that I'm working with, right? When we're
Mhm.
talking about how dream big, right? I want to hear what that is. I want to know where you're trying to go.
Mhm.
But I will ask the questions that are all about your back end processes, your
Yes.
operations. Do you have
Yeah.
people who can support you? What tools are you using? How comfortable are you with task management? How are you monitoring your systems, your how are you communicating with people who are interacting with you, right?
Mhm.
How are you documenting so that you can reflect back? All of these things matter, and
Woo.
they're not necessarily the fun parts. You want to
That's what
dream,
I'm
and you
saying.
want
Woo. Because I'm
yeah,
ready. You're
you
hitting
want
it.
to
You're hitting
dream,
it.
and you can see where you want to go, right? But I'm the person that's in the background, like, okay, so let's talk about what do you need to support this vision and to make
Yes.
sure that you're able to execute, that you don't get overwhelmed by the last minute details.
Mhm.
There's always going to be growing pains in any situation, but if you get into the habit of certain spaces,
Mhm.
that helps. And that's a really big part for me, looking at what's the big goal and let's try to break this down and what do I have to help me make this easier.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, that's my biggest strategy.
No, that's huge. That's huge. I feel like you and I had, I think some months ago, we had a 15-minute conversation, and I was like, wow, I didn't think of that. Wow, you're really challenging me there. So I can automatically know that, like, I'm like, Kijaffa just knows. She knows the intricacies of a business owner and then the operations aspect of any business and how it's run, because in our professional lives we're working these careers, but it's for an institution, if you will. And so you have that niche down focus point, as well as like the macro and the micro, which is really
Yeah.
exciting. I really
Yeah,
love
and I you give me lots of credit. I don't know all of it, right? But but I think I also recognize that we, particularly Black women, are very good at trying to figure out what we need to do and kind of move through whatever the task is, right? So you're going to make it happen regardless.
right.
But when it comes to your business, it's okay to take a step back,
Hmm.
and pace yourself,
Hmm.
and also recognize you don't have to do it alone. That's usually the mindset. Well, I have to do all these little things, and okay, so I'll just figure it out. As you don't have to do it that way. And if
Hmm.
we can target in on the things that need to be done by you, or things that can be outsourced, or
Hmm.
ways to automate, or let's document because you're repeating this over and over. So let's, document what this process looks like for you. It becomes easier over time. And so I ask those questions because usually that's not, I don't dream about spreadsheets when I'm thinking about large, large endeavors.
No, really?
Um, but but the spreadsheet is where the data is, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I've learned working in a lot of environments where there's a lot of change.
Yes.
Those things matter when you start to get into the weeds because you have to be able to reflect back.
Do you notice that business owners, when you start asking them questions, get overwhelmed when you start, down that rabbit hole, if you will, of organizing their business to be able to help them offset responsibilities with virtual services? Like how do you combat um, the negative mindset that an entrepreneur might have?
Yeah, so it's 50-50. I get
Mhm.
clients who are like, okay, I have to do all of that. Great. So can you find someone to do that? Because I don't have the time. Like they
Right.
recognize they recognize their capacity. They
Yes.
recognize, that they don't need to do it all.
Mhm.
That they're going to be a hindrance to progress if they try to be in the weeds. Usually those are, they've been in their business for a while. They've learned. They're
Yes.
over trying to hold on to it in some
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
Then you have others
Great.
who you start to drill down and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Um, and so that's when I'm very much about comforting and meeting people where they are,
Mhm.
and also saying you don't have to do everything now. There is little pieces and those little steps are going to make a difference. So let's focus where are you comfortable? Or if you're not comfortable, maybe it's not time for us to work together, but that doesn't mean I don't, check in. How's it going? What have you learned? What do you need?
Absolutely.
I may not be the best fit for your business. Um, but I do think that having a support system is really important. And so if I just become a part of that support system for you, where you're like, okay, well, I can ask a question, or, if I need a referral somewhere, I know that this is someone who can get there. Yeah, I'm happy to be that. I can't change your mindset, right? I can't change my mindset
Mhm.
overnight. So I'm
Mhm.
definitely not going to do someone else's. You have to be ready
Yeah.
for whatever it is that you're looking for. And so it's more about understanding where they are and saying, where do I fit in? And being
Okay.
okay if I'm not the fit,
Right.
but you're not by yourself. And so I'm happy to play that role too.
No, that's honest. That's honest. I love that. Now, the U.S. Coalition of Black Women Businesses focuses on social, health, economic equity, right? Now, with that, as a virtual business manager, how does that align with the goals, especially with supporting Black women business owners, specifically with those areas?
Yeah. So I'll start with the social side.
Hmm.
A really big motivator for me to start my own virtual services was because I was not happy in my last work environment.
Hmm.
And I went into this space of isolation. And I had a friend who kept reaching out and wanting me to see my potential and my capabilities. And
Hmm.
um, having that friend who kind of pulled me in really allowed me to build the confidence that I need. And over time, just be like, oh, yeah, I got this. So
I
that
love
has
you.
led to the podcast, Coffee and a Notepad, where I wanted to take that same step for other business owners, right? I don't want to talk about how to build your business. That's going to be an individual journey for everyone.
Hmm.
But
Absolutely.
there are certain experiences that we're all having. There are topics that are important to the entrepreneurial journey
Mhm.
that often you don't have the space to talk about. Your friends or family who are not business owners don't want to hear that at brunch, right? And so getting that community was really important because
Mhm.
that community is what got me to step into my own. But
Yes,
now I want to be able to extend that to others and
I
keep
love
a
that.
community around me that now I have a network of people to tap into larger than what I had before, and vice versa. So that social part is really, really important. The equity part, or wealth building, for for me is about recognizing the power of Black women and that there is the opportunity to grow wealth. I
Mhm.
recently heard that there was like Black women are among the largest growing group for
Mhm.
starting businesses,
Mhm.
and yet most of us are making less than $100,000 in revenue.
Mhm.
And what does that say? That means that we have these great ideas, but we don't have access to the resources. We probably also limiting ourselves because we are holding on to, I
Grab a
have
hat.
to do this.
Mhm.
Yes, that
Mhm.
inability to kind of extend your circle a little bit.
Yes.
And so part of that community is also having a group to draw from to collaborate with, right? I don't know everything, but if I do
Mhm.
know another woman who is doing well and I have the opportunity to bid for a new contract, let's do this together.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I've learned from other women in the
Yeah.
interactions I've had. We have to learn how to work together, how to pull each other in, and that helps to lessen that fear of asking for bigger. And that
Mhm.
goes back to what you mentioned about mindset, right?
Mhm.
Trying to put yourself in a space to say, there's a big pot out there. There's lots of money to go around.
Mhm.
Where do I fit in and how do I get to it? And I think that's also, making sure that you're in the room. We
Yeah.
kind of forget to
Yeah.
go out and be in the right spaces. So organizations like this are really helpful to make sure that you're in a room where you can talk about things,
Mhm.
getting to your local
Mhm.
organizations, your, Chamber of Commerce, your economic development centers. If you are in, Greek organizations, we don't talk about our business as much as we
Mhm.
should, and
Mhm.
utilizing our own resources internally. So I think making sure that you stay in the right rooms,
Yeah.
and put yourself in spaces where you can be part of that conversation.
I love that you are such a supportive individual for clients or potential clients. It doesn't matter if you're necessarily working with them on a daily basis or whatever, but you're still there to work with them, to support them and kind of coach them in a way into those spaces, you know? So I think the support and the community that you offer is what I'm trying to highlight and what I recognize is just so quality and so important.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can't do it by ourselves, right?
Right.
And I think there's so much to learn from one another, regardless of where you're sitting in the seat.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I have been in rooms where, talent wise, I might be able to say I can lead this group,
Mhm.
but then when you start to hear about the experiences of other individuals, and you're like, I just want to hear more about that experience because that's not the one that I've had, and you've learned so much, and there's still so much I'm able to gain from being in those spaces. And I
Right.
think sometimes coming out of, like I said, I was in higher education,
Mhm.
where it's very hierarchical, where it's very much, even though women are big in the teaching space,
Mhm.
men are big in the managerial space. So
Yep.
I've had a lot of male mentors and seen how they operate, and I've learned a lot. But
Mhm.
now I feel like I'm learning a lot from women, right? I'm like,
Mm.
99% of my clients have been women, and
Love
women
that.
who have had larger networks of other women who have taught me how to, you know, be about business, but also be comfortable with who you are, right? Show your personality, but also know how to, negotiate for what you want. I have a network of women who are open to sharing what they've learned. And so it's only right for me to want to pass that off
Mhm.
because there's no reason for infighting. And I think that
Mhm.
that's what people think, that if you bring someone else in, they're going to take it from you. And that has
Right.
not been my experience. So
No,
yeah, wherever you are, if I can say you can do it, you can do it.
that's what
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna do.
give that message to you.
I know that's right. Is there a specific instance that you'd be able to highlight, specifically where you've been able to help a Black woman business owner to overcome any specific obstacles and also meet their business goals?
Yeah. So the young lady who tapped me when I was on the verge and almost ready to quit my job, she brought me in and she was just working by herself. She's like, I have this idea, but I can't do it alone. So I need you to
Mm.
come and help. And I was like, one, I have no idea about this industry, right? To how do you know that I'm gonna be good at this, right? Like we've been
Wow.
cool, we've crossed paths, whatever,
Mhm.
but we hadn't really worked in a real capacity yet. So how do
Mhm.
you know? And she's like, nope, I know it's you. So it was
Mm.
just she and I for a really long time. And it's been over 3 years that I've been working with her. And we've created a team for her. So she has grown her team tremendously.
Nice.
We have expanded beyond. She was just doing some technical assistance, and now we have great partnerships, with some funders, with
Mhm.
other organizations to do workshops, and to support other organizations who are trying to get where
I
she
love that.
is.
I love that.
She was able to open up a membership community, and so it was really focused on, once again, giving back to Black leaders and
Mhm.
having that self care element, and really centering, like it doesn't always need to be about work. And so one of those young
Mm.
ladies that's in the membership group reached out to me, about the podcast. She happened to hear it, and she's like, I'm so glad I found you guys. Like,
Aw,
it's
yeah.
so refreshing. I was really down about, she was trying to start her own massage business. And she's like, I was
Mm.
really down and I didn't think that I could do it, but you guys have been amazing. And I love
Mm.
the podcast. And, no prompt. It was just really, because of something that started 3 years ago from a conversation, like, girl, I'll figure it out. And every time she's like, tell me what you need in order to make the next step. And she's honored every point to help me, but also to help her grow, because she
Mhm.
knows us working together has given all these other opportunities. And we're still
Amen.
sitting at the table
Amen.
looking at ways to grow, and for her to feel comfortable
Mhm.
to step back and say, I haven't been around all summer because we've created a system for this to run without me. That's big, right? Like, she
Huge.
was able to
Huge.
completely do something else. And that is proof of, one, putting the right resources in place, recognizing what she needed for her business, um, taking the tiny steps, because it wasn't all at once. And we have a variety of operation manuals. We have strategy plans now for, growth a
Nice.
year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, that it doesn't necessarily need us to do all the work. We have created a team that understands the vision and can go out to execute it. And so, um, I love working with clients like that make you feel like I can see the work happening and they're
Yeah.
appreciative.
That's a huge collaboration point too. Like you guys are making money together. So
Yes, yes. And,
that's fun.
I've other clients have come to me because of the relationships that I've garnered through that. They've seen
Mhm.
me, the work that I've done with her, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I have a project that's coming on." And recently I had a inquiry meeting, and I felt so bad. I was like, I don't know who this person is, right? They look familiar. They were like, no, I was in a group and your name came up. When so I just scheduled this meeting. I was like, okay, I mean,
Amazing.
yeah, I'll take it, So, but that's what I'm talking about. It's just, I don't know her, she didn't know me, and
Mhm.
whether or not we work together is still another person that I can reach out to and say, hey, how's
Yeah.
that venture go?
Yes, and you mentioned it earlier, but too often because we're so close to it, and we birthed our baby, if you will. We've nurtured this business. We're so
Mhm.
close and attached to it that we can't let go of some of the responsibilities to be able to grow and to build. Because I heard this wise man say one time, "We have hustles, we don't have businesses."
Mhm.
And oftentimes, unfortunately, within our community, that's what we've built. So if we can absolutely collaborate with companies like yours to be able to really like expand and grow our mindset as well as our systems and then our teams, like it'll absolutely alleviate and give you that time freedom that you're likely looking for, as well as that
Yeah.
financial freedom.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the thing that I've learned the most is to be open to just having a conversation. Not
Hmm.
everything has to be about working together or money, right? I
Right.
have this thing called coffee chats where I just meet with other business owners to say, hey, how are you doing? Like, how's it
Hmm.
going?
Hmm.
Um, what do you do? Like, what are you
Hmm.
working on? How could we work together? It doesn't mean it's going to come out, but just having a chat, sending a message to someone that, how you go on social media and people post and you just like it, like it, like it, and you've never said hi to them, right? Like, I am starting to get better at just being like, I've loved your posts, right? I love
Yes.
the work that you've been doing. Hey, I know we're not even in the same state, but I'd love to hear more about this
Yes.
endeavor. I can't come to this conference, but I really hope it goes well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Those really go a long way. And so for me, it's creating those coffee chats to connect with other businesses, because you never know when you can create those connections. And then if you're coming to me for work, don't like, let's talk through how we can make this work. It's not always going to be like this hard staunch, I'm not Target, and it's 15.99 is not
Yeah.
necessarily 15.99.
Hmm.
Let's talk about what you need and where you are and how we can work together,
Awesome.
because that's the most important thing. We have to get better at making opportunities for ourselves through the connections we have, and there's a lot of
Absolutely.
us out there. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been absolutely refreshing.
mhm.
And I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to chat. As we close, though, I want to just offer this opportunity to you to just say, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to offer to our listeners? Um, that you'd like to be able to leave with them?
Yeah, I want to say continue to use your networks
Mhm.
and create genuine connections with individuals.
Yeah.
As you're going to these conferences, if you go to Africa, if you go to the next event in Long Island and you gather a card, make sure to also reach out and say, hey, just to say, hey, and keep those relationships very genuine because you never know when your name will come up in a room that you didn't know anything about. And so continue to reach out and create that community. And shameless plug, feel
Where
free
can
to
they
connect
find
with
you?
me. I mean, so Coffee and a Notepad is my baby right now. That's the baby that I'm holding on to. But if you are looking for community and would love to listen to other experiences in the entrepreneurial space, Coffee and a Notepad on Instagram, and the podcast is on Spotify, Google, Apple
Yeah.
Podcasts. You can also find me there. Say hi. Clearly, I like to
Nice.
talk to people.
Don't be afraid to say hi. Don't be
Don't
afraid to
be
connect.
afraid to say hi. And it's at KZ Hall Virtual Services is also on Instagram, KZ Hall _ virtual services. If you want to know more about my business or would like to collaborate in some way or schedule a coffee chat. So,
Yes. I'm
yeah.
scheduling my chat today.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kijaffa. You have absolutely been a joy. Again, we want to just remind our listeners that we have the November 1st Business Luncheon Matchmaker in Long Island, New York, and we're excited to be able to connect and network with you all there, as well as the Wellness Summit in Ghana, West Africa on April 2024. We absolutely had the pleasure of listening to Kijaffa Hall and her virtual business strategist and her absolutely amazing thinking and mindset. We are blessed to be able to be here today. So we want to just say thank you, Kijaffa, and we hope to hear you soon.
Yeah.